And welcome back to Let Glory Shine. I am your host, Martha Glory, and I'm so excited to be here. I am coming off of an amazing weekend of putting on my very first event, Unbound. Unbound. And I am just overjoyed about the responses and all that transpired over this past weekend. Um, when it's your first event, you do all the work and you pray and plan and hope but you don't know what to expect. And so I am now 3 days past the event. The weekend was last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I am just so full of gratitude. I'm so full of pride for myself and for the co-host, um, for the other speakers that joined us, and but most importantly, I'm so proud of each attendee that said yes and showed up for themselves and their healing. I cannot explain the power in that room. I cannot explain the healing in that room. I cannot not explain the frequency, the vibration, everything that happened and was part of the overall Unbound experience. Um, when you are in alignment with who God says you are, and you step out in faith and you step out in real surrender of what God's called you to do and to become, magic happens, y'all. I cannot explain it any other way as other than just sheer magic, vibration, frequency. Like all of it is just magnetic. All of it is just, it's amazing. It's absolutely wow, 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 wow. And so um, now I'm getting to process all of has happened. And I'm reading through testimonials of people that are sending me letters and emails and texts and sharing with me their own experiences of how different speakers moved them or spoke directly to their heart, or how some activities that we did helped them to break through something that had been holding them back. And y'all, that is the most important work that any of us will ever do, is to step into our highest and best selves, the person who God has created us to be. That is literally the most important work that we will ever do. And so I'm just overjoyed with all how my first event went, and I could not have done it without all of the help of my co-host, Ashley Burkeen, Becca George, Nathan Bourne, our MC, Dr. Lauren Michael Harris, our media people, Tracy Randolph and Shima Stroud. Like there was just so much help behind the scenes that helps anybody put on an amazing event like this. My family stepped up in a real and amazing way. My brother, Tim Stecker, got to take the stage for the very first time for him. And that was really a proud sister moment of getting to see my brother's glory shine and seeing him step further into who God's called him to be and share his heart, and seeing how it touched so many people. His message resonated so loudly and so deeply with so many. And it was just an amazing proud sister moment. And he also did all of our AV behind the scenes and created the entire experience, which was absolutely amazing. My sister did all of the, food setup and snack setup and registration, and I'm just overjoyed and so excited. There was so many people that chipped in and helped create the experience. No one can do it alone, y'all. No one can do it alone. And I had so much help and so much just backing and support, and to see the people in that room that were there to support all of us was amazing. Michael Faber, who is the leader of Unleash You, was there, and several of people from our community, I'm part of that community, were in the audience but also spoke on the stage. And to see how all of them showed up to support us on this healing mission that God's called us to was just, it was nothing short of Well, I'm pretty speechless. I'm still trying to figure out how to express my gratitude, how to express all that transpired. So today I really want to just talk about the who we are versus the what we are. And I don't have a guest, and I just want to really dig a little bit deeper on the understanding of who versus what. So, what we are is, mother, wife, daughter, sister, doctor, lawyer, dentist, author, whatever it is that you have become, right? Like the what is what you do. How do you show up, right? That's your what. All your accolades. You are a college graduate. You have your PhD, your doctorate, whatever it is. Those are your whats. For me, the what's really don't matter if you don't know who you are, because you can go through your entire life and have a successful profession and have all of these accolades and be missing the piece of who you are. So, who you are is really at the core and the foundation of what God has called you for, what your gifting is, what you give back to the world because of you just being you. That's a special gift that only you can give because there's only one you. There's no one else that can do the things that you are called to do. There's just not. And so the who you are is so important because, again, we can go through our entire lives and just exist, living, right? But we're not thriving. We're not really truly living. We're just existing because we don't have that down deep understanding of what we were created for, who we were created to become. And when we're missing that piece, you don't have that soul filling understanding of your capabilities, of your confidence, of your worthiness, right? Because all of those real deep things are tied to who, not to what. And so I got to share this message on the Unbound stage this weekend, and I share a story about when I first had to look at myself truly in the mirror after I had been on my own healing journey for probably 7 or 8 years. But I was still really grappling with this who I am versus what I do. I was very accomplished. I was an administrator for physical therapy, 8 physical therapy clinics at one time. I was a licensed massage therapist and a very good one at that. And I was also a wife. I was also raising children. I was all of these things, and I was successful from the outside. But inside, I was still grappling with purpose. I was still grappling with who am I? There's got to be more than this because there was still an emptiness of a bigger something. I just kept saying there has to be more than just this. Although I was happy in my existing life as a mother, as a wife, as a person that worked for corporate, like I had all of these outside external good things around me, but my inside, my soul was struggling to identify with myself because I had gone through my whole life with no identity. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was created to be. My identities were all given to me, right? I never had asked myself those deep, hard questions. Who am I? Who was I created to be? I had never known that that wasn't even an option. So I had taken on the identities, the labels of other people, right? That they had put on me, that I was defiled, that I was fat, that I was no good, that I was dyslexic, that all of these negative labelings and these negative identities, right? And so those are the ones that I saw when I looked in the mirror. I didn't know how to see myself as perfectly and wonderfully made in the image of God, right? And so I told the story from stage this weekend about when my life coach at the time had challenged me to do a 40-day, 5 minute a day mirror work exercise. And where I would need to get in front of the mirror, I would set the timer and I would have to look at myself. I'd have to look into my own eyes. I'd have to look at my own face. I'd have to look at my own essence. And I'd have to come up with something nice to say about me. And I'm just going to give you the acorn version of that story for time's sake. And for days, when I would sit in front of the mirror, I would set the timer for 5 minutes. I would just look at myself and cry because all I could see was the negative. All I could see was the fat, the defiled, the no good, would amount to nothing, that, all of the negative things that were attached to me on a soul level because I had been carrying around those identities for so long, right? And so it took me about 6 days to really sit with myself and cry and just mourn what I was seeing in order to be reborn. And when I had the aha moment, and when I finally was able to look at myself and say, God, like, why does this hurt so bad to look at this reflection? If you are who you say you are and you love me, then you have to help me look at myself through a different lens. You have to help me to see myself the way you see me, because right now all I see is pain. All I see is yuck. All I can see is the labels that I've been carrying around that others have put on me. But I want to see myself the way you see me. I want to see myself through your lens. And that happened around day 6 and 7, where I really could step in and say, okay, God, if you say I'm perfectly and wonderfully made, let me see that. Let me see that through your lens, your eyes. And when I finally said into the mirror, you are beautiful. You are perfectly and wonderfully made. Look at your eyes. Look at your smile. Look at the way that you show up for others. Look at all the things that you've accomplished. Look at, all the work that you've done on your own healing journey. Look at the idea of that you are willing and wanting to know yourself better and wanting to love yourself more. Look at the courage that that takes. And I started being able to have those conversations with myself. And y'all, that was life changing. That was life giving, because I was 37 years old and I had never been able to look at myself in the mirror and actually be proud of her or love looking at her. I didn't know how to love her before that moment. And when I was able to really look at her eyes and her face and her lips and my ears and my hair and all of the external, right? I also started seeing her heart. And I've always had a soft heart. I've always had a resilience built inside of me. And a lot of times that really hurt me when I was in the cult, because cult man couldn't take it that he couldn't break me. He wanted so badly for me to surrender to him, and my spirit wouldn't let me. My soul wouldn't let me, right? And so he tried to beat that out of me. He tried to starve that out of me. He tried to break me, and my spirit was unbreakable to him, and he couldn't take it. So I started seeing those things about me when I started looking in the mirror. And for the next 30 some days, every time I got in the mirror, I started being able to go deeper and deeper about the things that I loved about me. And then I started just having sheer gratitude for the eyes to see myself this way, for the heart that was open and courageous to be able to see God through these eyes, right? And who God says I am and who God has created me to be. I started seeing myself through that lens. And y'all, that, like I said, was life changing, life giving. And I'll never forget that moment, because that spoke to a brokenness that I didn't know still existed. Like I said, I'd been on a healing journey for many years at that point, but I had still such a brokenness because I was disconnected from the what I am and the who I am. I was disconnected. I hadn't yet understood fully that I could not become who I was until I loved who I was and who I was becoming and who God created me to be. Because if you don't love who you are, You can't fully step into who you are. You have to love and appreciate in this exact moment who you are now so that you can love who you are becoming. Because everything that we will ever need is already inside of us. We just have to peel away the layers of pain and trauma and hurt in order to reclaim and rediscover all that God's created us to be. It's already inside of us. It was always inside of me, but I had to heal. I had to scar. I had to like let all of that oozing out so that the scar could really thicken up so that I could step over that. I wouldn't have to keep picking off the scab, right? And I'd have to step into that. So, like, the takeaway for me when I really started seeing me and being able to look at myself through a clear lens of God and of God's grace and mercy and love for me, I was able to start seeing the true essence of Martha Glory, the true essence of the woman that God has been with all of this time, but I was not able to see because I was clouded by the lens of all of the other identities that I had carried, from cult man, from my family, from society, from the, everything else that wasn't mine. And I started to be able to rebuild an identity that was based in God, was based in who He says I am, my creator, the maker of the heaven and the earth, right? It was based, and the foundation was built on that. And then I could start really stepping into loving myself and loving all that I was becoming. So when I start to really sit back and look at this journey over this last 10 years, because that mere exercise now was almost 10 years ago, because I'm almost 47. I just have so much pride for myself about never giving up and about fully stepping into this calling and constantly discovering my strength and my resilience and my fortitude, and but also understanding that none of this is about getting to create this sacred event of Unbound 2025 here in Raleigh, North Carolina was as a pleasure, is just a pleasure for me. And it's so much joy was brought to my heart by getting to share this experience with so many others and help others to step into their healing and take their first step, right? As a trauma-informed coach, that is what I love to do. I love to walk alongside my battle angels and help them take their next step in their healing journey. And that's what I got to do this past weekend with Unbound, to, hug, to pray, to pour into. And it wasn't just me. There was 10 other speakers, and there was 40 some people in the room, all pouring into each other and loving on one another and hearing each other's stories and lives and helping each other to take their next step. And so this is so much bigger than me. This is so much bigger than the host, any of the hosts or the speakers. This is a movement, and this is something that God has instilled in my heart on such a deep level and said, we can't stop. We got to keep going. We got to keep persevering, and we've got to do this again and again and again, because this world needs it. This world needs our light. This world needs our love. This world needs to understand who God is in us and for us. And so I'm excited about Unbound 2026. It's going to happen. It's going to look bigger, better, and bolder. Those are the words that came to me when I started talking about Unbound 2026, is bigger, better, bolder. I don't know what that really means. I'm going to allow God to do what God does and to reveal it to me over this next year as I begin planning and putting it together. But I'm just excited about the future. I'm excited about all that God's doing, but I'm most excited that I get to like sit in my own skin and be proud of who I am, not just what I do, but who I am, and who I am for the world at large, and who I am for my community, who I am for my family, but most importantly, who I am in God, right? And so Thank you for joining me for another episode of Let Glory Shine. I'm so honored that you come and watch my episodes every week and you join us. And I can't wait until our next opportunity to get together. But I'll be back same time, same station next week. So let your glory shine. Have a great night.
Let glory shine from the ashes I rise. Every scar a story, every tear baptized. This is my freedom, this is my climb. Let glory shine, it's the power inside. This is your prosperity era, where dreams align with grace, abundance flows like rivers. You've stepped into your place. Rise, reign, and remember, you were born to shine. Welcome to your moment, Prospera, it's time.
We hope you enjoyed today's show on Prospera TV Network. Make it a point to visit us on YouTube and catch all your favorite shows anytime you want. Interested in hosting a show of your own? Or advertising your business on our network? Contact Elena Rodriguez.